Becky, welcome to my channel Notes from the Sewing Room. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video I'm telling you all about the peplum top that I've made from the Selkie London Pattern. I'm giving you my lowdown on the fit, what I liked about it and why I'd recommend you making it. So welcome back to my channel if you have tuned in before, and if not, welcome along. Thanks for tuning into my video. As I said, in today's video I'm telling you all about the peplum top that I've made from the Selkie London Pattern. It's turning out to be a really good pattern for me. This is part 2 of my review series about this pattern. If you are unfamiliar with this pattern, it came out not so long ago. It's got 3 different things in you can actually make. There's the skirt, which is a box pleat skirt that I made last week, which I shared on my last video. There's the peplum top I'm talking about today, and then there's also a dress version, I guess incorporating both the top section and the bottom section to make a full dress, which I'll be talking about on my video next week as well. So yeah, so let's get down to it, and I'm going to tell you all about what I found about making the peplum top. I must apologise as well that my voice is slightly croaky today because I'm just recovering from a horrible cold, but I think a lot of people have had it, so yeah, apologies about that, but I did want to share this top with you. Also, I don't know if you can see in the background, I do have my little helper Bentley, my Labrador. He's just sitting in the chair, so you might be able to see him just in the background there, because he's there, he just likes to help out with my videos. So yeah, let's chat all about the peplum top. So first of all, I'll show it to you. I will put some photos up of me actually wearing the top as well, but here it is. So I've made mine in a lovely cotton lawn fabric. As you can see, it's floral. I bought it sometime last year from a shop called The Craft Studio in Nottingham. I bought the fabric during a meet-up with the Sew Knots group, which was really fun because I was spending time with like-minded sewers, and I also bought some fabric, so 2 of my favourite things to do. So yeah, the fabric's been sat in my stash for a little while, but I just thought that this was the perfect project to use it on. The instructions, I would say, for the peplum top are brilliant. They're in this little booklet here if you get the paper version. I believe that the pattern's also available as a PDF, but I decided to go for the paper copy, which just suited me. The book is divided into 3 sections. It talks about the skirt, if you're going to make that, it talks about the peplum top, and it also talks about the dress. The top comes with Raglan Sleeves, so if you are unfamiliar with those sleeves, it basically means that they're inserted in a slightly different way to your regular sleeve, if you like. So I would say that the instructions do guide you through exactly how to fit the sleeve, but I would say that when you are cutting out your pattern, do make sure that you put the notches, so you know which part of the sleeve is for the front and which part is for the back, because I think with this kind of sleeve, if you don't have the notches to match up, then you could go wrong. Also, because of the roundness of the sleeve section, you do need to ease the fabric in a little bit, so don't worry and think, oh, you know, I've cut the wrong side of sleeve or something like that, because you just have to sort of manipulate the fabric a little bit and it will fit eventually. I really like the peplum top. It's actually the first peplum top that I've ever made, so I wasn't really sure if it would be something that would suit me, if I would like it, etc. But I actually really do like it. I think it's really feminine, and it's just a lovely alternative to wearing a normal blouse. The top comes with 2 different ways that you can finish the front and the back section. So you could decide to incorporate darts into the front of your bodice and into the back, or you might decide to include pleats instead. The booklet it does guide you through exactly how to do either, but I decided to go for darts on my version, basically because I wanted it to be slightly more fitted. That's just a look that I prefer, but potentially in the future I may decide to go for the pleats instead, just for a bit of a change. One thing to bear in mind is there is this gorgeous kind of peplum section at the bottom. There are some gathering stitches that you have to sew into the peplum to basically get it to fit to the bodice. which is great. I found for some reason that I sewed more gathering stitches between the notches as directed on the pattern instructions than potentially needed, but I suppose it depends on how accurate you've actually been with your cutting, and potentially if you're grading between sizes or something like that. But I found I cut the size 10 for the peplum section and for the full top basically, but I didn't need the amount of gathering stitches that I actually had, but I'll just hold up the bottom section here so you can see that I have actually tried to line up my gathers with the dart in the top section as well, so I think it does look really pretty, and I am really looking forward to wearing the top out over the weekend. I think this is the kind of top that you could just wear whenever really, and you could wear it just to go shopping, you could wear it to go out for a night out, depending on what you team it up with, I suppose. I can see myself wearing this with jeans. I basically wear pumps most of the time. I am quite tall, so I very rarely wear high heel shoes. Sometimes I really feel like I really want to, so I think I said in my last video I've got a desire to wear high heel shoes when I went out to see a lecture recently, so I did, but most of the time you'll find me in Converse or pumps. So I think this top's going to look lovely with my sort of high-waisted jeans and a pair of pumps as well, and it just kind of dress up the outfit, I think. When you are attaching the peplum to the actual top, like I said, do be wary of the gathering and make sure that that's all lining up correctly. But the other thing to remember, if you are going to overlock your seam area where you've attached the peplum and the top, do be really careful not to catch anything in the overlocker. I know that sounds silly because you have to be careful anyway if you overlock anything because of the blade section on the overlocker that does cut at the same time, but because the peplum is kind of cut on the bias, it does move around quite a lot, even in my quite stable cotton lawn fabric that I use. So do just keep checking as you are putting it through the overlocker if that's what you decide to do. Of course, you don't need to use an overlocker for this project at all. You might just decide to use a zigzag stitch or something similar to finish your seams instead. In terms of finishing my peplum section, I literally decided to overlock the bottom edge, which I'll just show you here. And then, so I've overlocked the inside, I've turned it up once, and then I've stitched it around. I thought I wanted to basically keep it as long as possible because, like I say, I am fairly tall, and I just wanted it to definitely cover the top of my jeans section, so I wasn't flashing any tummy. I would say though, before you do actually finish your bottom section of your peplum, do make sure that you hang your top up on a coat hanger for a little while, maybe 24 hours or so, because the bottom section is cut on the bias. It has the potential to move around a little bit, so you might find that part of your hem ends up being slightly higher than another part if you haven't actually let it hang overnight. So that's what I did, and I found that actually there was no movement at all, but depending on what fabric you use, this could potentially be different. I wouldn't say this is a quick project to make. I think I did a little bit one day and a little bit another day, but I think it probably did take quite a few hours in total, maybe around 7 or 8 for me to completely finish it. Like I say, I am new to making this type of top and I did want to get a good finish, so I did take my time. Potentially if you have made something like this before, or of course if you're making it for the second time, I would say you could probably fly through the instructions a little bit quicker, but for me I just wanted to take my time. I don't really like rushing my projects if I don't have to, because, you know, potentially that's when things go wrong. And thankfully there wasn't too much unpicking to be done on this project for me, so I was quite pleased about that. The top comes with these lovely sleeves, like I said before, so you could finish these literally by turning up the hem, by overlocking it and then stitching around once. I decided to include a double turn up for my sleeves, so just because I thought potentially then if my sleeve is blowing around in the wind, you could just see like the double turn up underneath instead of actually seeing the overlock section as well. But it's really up to you what you decided to do. I suppose also you could finish the seams with bias binding if you wanted to be a bit fancy on the inside, and you could also include bias binding on the bottom section as well if you really wanted to. The top of the bodice is finished with a facing, which gives it a really professional looking finish, but I would say that I did have to manipulate my facing quite a lot to actually get it to fit, particularly around the keyhole opening at the front. Also, I would say, actually, I forgot to say earlier that you could decide to go for a keyhole opening, as I have here on the front section, or you might decide to do that but also include a necktie. I think when I make the dress version, I am probably going to include the necktie, but I wanted to try both variations just to see what I like the best. But yeah, it took me quite a while to fit the facing. It was, for me, one of the last steps what I did to actually finish my top, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be finished in, you know, no time at all, but actually it took me a lot longer than I thought. Also, in terms of the back, I included a 23-inch zipper with my top. You could potentially get away with one that was slightly less, but I just wanted to make sure that I could definitely get the top on and off, particularly as the fabric that I've used has got no stretch. So I decided to include an invisible zip on this one. In the skirt that I made, I included a lap zip because my fabric was a little bit more stable. But for this one, I decided to go for the invisible zip instead, which again, I think looks really smart on the back of this particular top. I'm not sure if my pattern matching is perfect, but I did try. But I'm sure no one's going to be looking that closely at my top anyway. In order to attach the facing, when you've got it all lying flat, I used a lot of steam on my iron to actually get it to lie flat, so don't worry if yours is the case. Mine ended up looking a little bit wrinkly to begin with, but I got it there in the end after quite a lot of perseverance. In order for it to actually stay in place, I decided to do a couple of steps that it doesn't actually include in the instructions. With these seams here for the arm section, for the front and the back, I decided to add in a few stitches in the ditch, just in this line here and just in the line at the back there, just to give the facing a little bit more stability so that it would actually stay inside my top rather than popping out all of the time. Around the front section of the keyhole opening, there isn't any seams for me to be able to do that, and I didn't want to include any stitches that were too obvious, so instead I decided to just add in a few hand stitches instead. It does suggest doing that in the pattern instructions as well. Obviously it's up to you if you did decide to do that, but I think it's definitely worth it, and it does stop the facing from popping out. So I really like the blouse. It's something completely different in my wardrobe that I don't already have, which I think is really nice just to fill a bit of a gap. Obviously summer is on the way, hopefully. I'm certainly dreaming of having some lovely warm weather, so I think this top is going to take me from spring into summer, which will be super. Also, I can see myself wearing this with a cardigan as the weather does get a little bit cooler as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you trying this pattern if you haven't already. I think it really is value for money, even though the paper pattern is fairly expensive, I guess, if you weren't prepared to make a few different variations of the top or the skirt, or all three items like I'm trying to do. But you know, I think for me it's definitely worth the money, and I really like what I've made so far, and I can't wait to get stuck into making the dress as well. So I will be sharing that with you on my video next week, which I'm really looking forward to. I've not decided what fabric I'm going to use for that yet, but I think I'm probably going to go for some kind of viscose fabric just to give it a little bit of movement, so it would be slightly different to the top and the skirt that I've made already. So hopefully that will be helpful for you just to see the different variations that I've tried. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. But I'll be back here next week to show you my dress. So cross fingers that works out okay. But until then, I'll say see you later.